G'day guys, how's it going? So I've been seeing a lot of people asking lately about log charts, asking when to use them or, should I have it on here? I thought I'd do a quick video explaining how they work, why we use them at certain times, and when they're useful. So the important thing to understand is log charts are incredibly useful for picturing exponential growth or graphing exponential growth. So we used to use them in physics a lot. In radioactivity, you get what's called an exponential decay curve, and you plot that on a log graph because it starts out really high and it flattens out really quickly. So by using a log graph, you can see more of the data. Now, Bitcoin's sort of done the reverse. It's started out really flat and it's gone parabolic. Now, it might not seem flat, it went to $1,000 pretty quickly, but compared to 50,000, that looks flat. I'll show what I mean there in a second. But you can see here that I've marked off they're called orders of magnitude, essentially like the exponential values of 10. So 10 to the 0 is 1, 10 to the 10 to the 1 is 10, 10 squared is 100, 10 cubed is 1,000, 10 to the 4 is 10,000, 10 to the 5 is 100,000. Now, how a log chart works is it makes the y-axis represent the same amount of space between each order of magnitude. So I'll show that in a sec, but before I do, I'll show why they're used. So you can see here, right, if I look at the weekly Bitcoin chart, there is a heap of data in here. I don't know if you guys will be able to see it, might be a bit small on the screen, but I can see there's candles there, but I can't tell anything about the candles. I can just see like little red and green pixels essentially. Right up to about there, once it starts to move a bit, I can see it. So this is not a regular chart, and it just, because Bitcoin was between, let's say, 1 and 1,000 for so long, but like 1,000 is so small compared to 56,000. That data is just so compressed. You can't actually see any of it. Now, what I'll do is I'll put in a vertical line at about the point you can start to see the data, because it'll help sort of see things when we go to the log chart. So that's on a regular chart. Now, if I hit log down here and refresh it so it's just a bit cleaner, you can see that we can see all this data, because what it's done is it's made this gap from 1 till 10, the same as the gap from 10 to 100, the same as the gap from 10 to 1,000. So you can see like all those lines are now equally spaced vertically. So it really helps to be able to see all that Bitcoin data at once, rather than having to zoom in on this section here and not being able to tell what's going on up here, or looking up here and not knowing what's going on down there. So the reason it's so useful is because Bitcoin has had exponential growth. It's gone from $2 to 56,000 over the course of, just under 10 years, which is absolutely incredible. What are we looking at? 2,201,000% gain. So yeah, it makes it really, really easy to see all that data in one go. Now, what you'll notice is a lot of people say, "Oh, should I turn it off when I'm looking at small time frames?" Because it's log chart is so handy for the high time frames like that. Should I turn it off on the smaller time frames? Well, not really, because it's up to you. You can, but it doesn't really work. You don't really need to, because if you think about it, it's compressing the space from here to here. But when you get down to the 4-hour chart, so that's 10,000 to 100,000. When you get down to the 4-hour chart, it's not moving that much. Even this move here, what was a big move, we went from 43 to 60,000, right? Well, like that is a big move, but the space compression, the y-axis compression that the log chart doesn't really play out over that small of a range. You will see if I turn it off, it changes a little bit, but it's minuscule. Like the actual shape of the chart doesn't change at all. So I personally just leave log on all the time. It does affect your fibs. So hang on. Or does it actually? Maybe it doesn't. I can't remember. There are a few things it affects. So, right, let's just mark off our 50 fib right now. And we can see it lines up really well with that resistance. So if we turn it off, yeah, so you can see the 50 fib has moved a little bit. And things like rectangles, I have to do that on the weekly actually. Things like rectangles will change size, because the rectangle will map a space that is however large, so let's say it's mapped a 40% price gap. So as I move it down, that 40% becomes bigger. So it will muck around with some of those things, but personally, I just don't touch it. I literally just leave it on log all the time because I start my charts on the weekly time frame. So I look at those big moves. I'm not necessarily looking back here in November 15, but I want to be able to see as much of the data as I can. I just leave it on. It doesn't really, and the smaller the time frame that you get to, the less it plays an effect. So if we look at the 15 minutes and we turn the log on and off, nothing there is really changing. So that's about it for log charts. Their purpose is to graph exponential movements really simply. So you can easily get away with never using them in your life. If you only trade the 4 hours and the 1 hours, you probably don't need log charts. I personally just like it because I do tend to look at the higher time frame moves. But yeah, so I hope that clears it up for you guys. I hope you learned something, and I hope you're all having a great time. And happy trade.